if it continues like this, I'll leave it to you all if you want to take your coat off, and I may have to end up doing the same thing. So, whatever you want to do on that. All right, you were cross-examining, I believe, Mr. Hood.
Yes, sir.
Continue that.
Okay. Mr. Short, before we break, sir, we was talking about, you stated that, That's on. Okay. Sir, you would state that you heard Officer Howard state something over the radio that he was pulling over a red SUV with a possible suspect, carjacking suspect. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Is it possible that you might have thought you heard that and it been so long and you've been through so much, it's possible that you might have thought you heard them say that, sir?
I'm pretty sure I heard that, sir.
Pretty sure you heard that?
That's what I stated, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if an officer making a traffic stop on the high risk scale, I'm sorry, I would believe as a carjacking suspect that day, is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Would you consider a carjacking suspect a felony traffic stop suspect?
Most definitely.
Okay. Now, you stated that you heard Officer Howard say he would pull over a red SUV with a possible suspect, correct, sir?
That's correct.
What would have been a proper procedure for Officer Howard, or any officer, making a high-risk traffic stop on March 22nd, 2011, sir?
In a perfect situation, he would be able to call in all the information on the vehicle to include a tag number.
Would it have been proper protocol for him to call dispatch and telling them that he was stopping this carjacked suspect, Jack Hood?
Yes.
Okay, would it have been proper protocol for him that called radio other units and, hey, a request for backup for this suspect, Jack Hood?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear Officer Howard request any backup according to the suspect, Jack Hood, on March 22nd, 2011?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Now, Your Honor, I would like to see State Exhibit Exhibit 10, Exhibit 149, 45, Exhibit 149, Exhibit 150,
Yes, sir, it does appear that's the same route I took.
Okay. When you enter Sycamore Drive, sir, did you see this cab or whatever vehicle this is right here?
I honestly don't recall it.
I'd like you to look at that. See, you got, I'd like you to please look at that, sir, as I go past. How many yards do you, from looking at that, how far would that taxi cab, that little SUV from this police car?
I have no clue.
Could you give us an estimate just by looking at it, how many yards you think that was?
No, sir,
He said he was, oh, the jet.
I'd like you to look at something else, Mr. Schultz. Now, you see this cab or whatever this is, sir?
I see the vehicle, yes, sir.
Okay. I want you to look at something else as we go, as the car goes. Now, I want to stop right here. You see that white truck right there?
Yes, sir.
Will you agree that that white truck is closer to the police car than that SUV back there?
Then the vehicle that you just passed?
Yes, sir, that cab, whatever that was.
Yes,
They're closer to the police car, isn't it?
yes.
You see Officer Christian car parked back there, sir?
I do.
Is that white truck closer to Officer Christian car or that SUV you saw back there, that taxi cab? Which one is closer?
The white truck.
Okay. Now, Mr. Schultz, sir, I would like for you to look at this picture, sir. State's Exhibit 149. I'd like for you to look at State's Exhibit 149, sir. It's a clear and accurate picture of Officer Howard patrol car as you saw it in that red SUV. But we got to look. Ladies, y'all please get it. Now, I give him the prosecutor. He can keep it so we can. Thank you, ma'am. You got the little laser, sir?
I do.
Little laser up there, buddy. When you arrived on Sycamore Drive, was Officer Howard car parked right here, that red SUV parked right there?
As best as I can recall, yes.
Okay, now, from looking at this picture, is Officer Howard car parked according to the Athens Clark County Police high-risk traffic stop protocol?
It's behind the vehicle, yes, sir.
I mean, is it parked according to the protocol, Athens Clark County Police Department?
As a first responding vehicle that would be initiating the stop, yes, sir.
Oh, I thought you testified that the engine block supposed to be between Officer Howard patrol car and the suspect vehicle. That don't look like it, do it?
State that again?
I thought that you stated that the Athens Clark County Police Department high-risk traffic stop protocol, as far as the vehicle parking behind the suspect vehicle, the engine block is supposed to be in between the suspect vehicle and officer. Isn't that correct?
I stated that in a perfect situation, that is what would happen.
Okay, do it matter if, do the protocol change because the situation is perfect, or because it's not? Do the protocol change because of that?
You cannot always go by the immediate reactions of an individual to go by the protocol.
Okay. Well, isn't it true that the police department have protocol to keep officers safe?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that they have protocol to keep the citizens safe?
Yes.
Isn't it true that if an officer don't follow protocol, something bad might happen? Is that true?
That is true.
Now, if you were making a traffic stop, according to protocol, would you park your car like that?
If the opportunity is given to me to do it the proper way, yes, I will do it the proper way. And I would not park it identically as that.
I'm sorry, I think I missed you. You said you would not park it like that?
In a ideal situation.
Okay, but you wouldn't though. If the situation were ideal, you wouldn't.
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. We can turn the light back on, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Schultz, sir, I want to ask you a few questions. Why did you take your latex gloves off and throw them down in the middle of a crime scene?
Excuse me?
I said, why did you take your latex gloves off and throw them down in the middle of a crime scene?
I did not.
You did. Did you do a supplemental report on this case, sir?
Yes, sir, I did.
Do you have it with you?
I do.
Okay. I would like you to please review your first paragraph, if you will, please, sir. Well, your second paragraph.
Yes, sir.
Do you see in your supplemental report that you put a pair of latex gloves on? Put a pair of latex gloves on.
The sentence I believe you're referring to states, as I ran to the vehicle, I put on a pair of latex gloves.
You understand? But I'm asking you, did you throw them down at the crime scene?
I stated no, sir.
Is it possible that you threw them down that you forgot because you was so much was going on?
No, sir.
Do you recall seeing GBI agent Rosen on the scene?
Agent Rossler, yes, sir.
Rosslin is his name, I'm sorry, sir, Rosslin. So, did you talk to Officer Rosslin?
I spoke to Agent Rossler, yes.
Okay, did you tell Agent Rosslin that you threw a pair of white and colored latex gloves on the street, to the east, the front driver's side tire off the Chris car?
No.
Did they take pictures of Officer Chris's car?
I'm sure they did. I was not there when they took them.
Would it surprise you that if we see some photos of Officer Chris's car, some white latex gloves right in front of his tire?
There were EMTs all around. No, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
You advised Agent Rosen that you were the first responding officer to Officer Chris, isn't that correct?
At the time, that's what I thought, yes, sir.
Did you advise Agent Rosen there were two bullet holes in the front driver's side, one of on your right of Officer Chris's car?
I did.
Sir?
I did.
Okay. All right. Would it have been standard protocol for you to throw latex gloves down in the crime scene? Would that have been standard protocol?
No, I have a trash can on my van for that.
Okay. You know that two bullet holes in the front driver's side, one of Officer Chris's vehicle. Did you
did not.
Why not?
I was not the one processing the scene.
Was you a crime scene specialist at the time, sir?
I was.
Did you have a camera with you as a crime scene specialist that day, sir?
I did.
You had a camera with you?
I did.
Did you have an opportunity to take a picture of them gunshot wounds, the gunshot holes in that one before you touched that car?
Protocol of the Athens, Clarke County Police Department is an officer-involved shooting is investigated by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
Okay. Mr. Schultz, sir. Do you think it would have been helpful for the jury to see the exact spot that those bullet holes was in that car to help determine what position I was in at the time the shot was fired?
It would help.
After you determined that Officer Christian was deceased, why did you shut the door and cause the glass to fall out?
I did not shut the door.
Did you tell Agent Rossler, his name Rossler, sir, Rossler?
Rossler.
Rossler, did you tell Agent Rossler that half the shattered glass from the window fell onto the ground after you closed the door?
I don't recall that.
You don't recall that you did not?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Do you recall telling the officer, Chief Agent Rossler, that you removed your gloves and placed them down in the front driver's side tire, at the front driver's side tire?
I really do not recall that.
Is it possible you said that you were going through so much you forgot it?
There's always that possibility.
All right. But again, it's not standard protocol to place latex gloves on a crime scene.
Not standard protocol, no, sir.
Okay. At exactly what point did the glass fall out of the window?
I believe I stated when I was first testifying that during the time when we were taking the body out, bumping into the vehicle with all the people around. I don't recall the exact time when the glass fell out.
Okay. Would the glass have not been important in determining the trajectory of the bullet hole, meaning path of bullets?
It would help.
Could you explain what trajectory means to the jury so they can fully understand it, please, sir?
Trajectory of the firearm projectile would be the angle at which it entered a item or a person.
Is it true that trajectory, the trajectory is the path that bullet travel? Is that a better term of trajectory?
That's a
the
good
path
term.
that bullet travel?
It would be the path, yes.
Is it standard protocol to alter crime scene?
No.
You're sure there was 2 bullet holes in the front side driving one?
Yes.
If Agent Rossler determined only 1 bullet hole in the glass, he would be incorrect. Is that right?
I saw 2 bullet holes in that glass.
Okay. Once again, 2 bullet holes in that glass, correct, sir?
I saw 2 bullet holes in that glass.
Where were the bullet holes in the glass before you destroyed the window glass, before you shut the door?
Your Honor, I would object to that characterization and ask you to rephrase the question.
Okay. Where were the bullet holes in that glass before the glass fell out, however it fell out?
As I stated earlier, they were approximately this far apart and approximately in the middle of that glass,
Okay.
the driver's side door glass.
Was it down or was it parallel? What was it? I mean, could you show us, did it look like the gunshot was shooting down on him, or was parallel straight like that?
I was not looking at the trajectory at that point. I was looking to see if I could assist Officer Christian.
Fair enough, sir. Were the bullet holes side by side? Was one of them at the top, bottom? Were they side by side? What were they?
As I just stated, they were approximately like this.
Is there a way you can draw it out, or is there a way you can demonstrate that, sir? I don't know.
You have something to
Yes, sir.
suggest?
Oh, yeah, I guess he can go. They said something.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm not an artist.
Okay.
This would be the front of the vehicle. This is the window, approximately in this area here.
Okay.
Approximately.
Okay. So, according to your drawing, it wasn't down on him like that, was it? According to that drawing, that don't look like it just shooting down, is that right?
As I stated before, I wasn't looking at trajectory. I was looking to assist the officer in the vehicle.
I mean, according to your drawing right there, it looked like it might in the middle of the one. Would you agree with that, sir?
It's approximate.
Okay. I mean, but what you have drawn up there, as you have up there drawing, do that look like that kind of in the middle right there, from what you draw?
That's as I had stated initially, that it was approximately in the middle of the window.
Okay, so according to your drawing, they don't look like it gets down at the bottom, do it?
He's already asked that
I don't
question. I
think I
think he's
have.
answered that several times.
Objection sustained.
May I be heard, please?
No, sir.
Okay.
That's another question.
Did anybody cover Officer Christian with a sheet?
Yes, I did.
Did you do that before the crime scene was processed?
Yes.
Did that cause you to like alter the crime scene and before it was processed? Would it have been important to leave him there so everybody can see exactly what happened to him?
No.
So, would you agree that by moving him before processing, we wouldn't know what really happened to him by doing that?
I never moved him, sir.
Okay, somebody put a sheet on him though.
Yes.
Okay, but I understand it was difficult. I want to talk professional with you, sir.
Just ask the
Okay.
question.
As for a standard protocol or any crime scene, isn't it protocol to process it before you put anything in it?
We always cover the body.
I'm gonna get off that. What I'm trying to figure out is, how do we know his actual position, the actual position he was in before somebody touched it? When you think that's real important in determining the truth of this matter?
Well, that's a compound question. I would ask him to ask one question, not two.
How do we know the actual position that he was in, his actual position? Wouldn't that be helpful in determining the truth of of this matter?
I never moved him.
Did anybody move him?
To my knowledge, no.
Could you say that?
I just did.
Okay, was you the first one on the scene, or was it a white guy with a cap on the scene? Who was the first one on the scene when I was prison?
I don't know.
No further questions, I gotta get off that.
Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor.
May you be excused or subject to roll call?
Yes, he can be excused.
Any objection?
Subject recall, Mr. The reason why I say that is Officer Rose, if the G.I.A. is coming here, I think it's a matter that we need to
All I
be.
need, okay. You may step down.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
Agent Jeff Rossler.
I'm trying to round up a couple of claimants. Of course, I told you the air force can be fixed too. How about some water? Would that help?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see if we can do some of that. I mean, there may be several.
Before you sit down, let me swear you in, sir. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give to court in this matter, State versus Jamie Donnell Hood, will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir, I do.
Have a seat if you will, sir.
Mr. Holmes might need to sit at 170, ask him, do we need it? But I have it here.
They can retrieve the exhibits. I thought they were doing that. If they can retrieve those, that would be fine. Will I do
Get
that?
170 for him, please. Okay, you got fans? Bring them in. Are the plugs over there?
Right here.
Okay. Bring them on up. You know, and they'll have to see how loud they are. I'm thinking one at one end and one at the other, and let's just see what happens. I mean, and y'all may, we'll take a minute if y'all wanna move around as far as somebody might not wanna get blown so much.
Say plug here. As well.
Not a plug on that end.
No, sir.
So no extra plug over here. May I?
Would you state your name for the jury, please, and spell your last name for the court reporter?
Sure. It is Jeff Rossler, Roesler.
Now, are you employed, sir?
Yes, I am.
Where are you employed?
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
And how long have you been with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
The 18 years next month.
What is your current position and responsibilities with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, sir?
I'm currently an assistant special agent in charge. I'm assigned to the Fusion Center that the GBI heads up. It's a Georgia Information Sharing and Analysis Center. And there we do intelligence work as well as counterterrorism for the state of Georgia.
And what office do you work out of? Where do you go to work every day?
It is at the Fusion Center in Atlanta.
Okay. And how long have you been in that particular position, sir?
It was 3 years in May.
And prior to that, where did you work with the GBI?
I was assigned to the regional office here in Athens, Georgia.
Is that Region 11?
Yes, sir, it is.
And were you a special agent at that time?
That's correct.
And how long did you work out of this Region 11 office?
Approximately 6 years, just over 6 years.
And that Region 11 office is located off what highway here in the Athens area?
Highway 29.
Is that north of 72? If you're
Yes.
going out the bypass and
That's correct. Yes, it is.
past Athens Tech and the new Kroger?
That's correct.
Okay. And as you're going out, is it on the right as you pass those particular establishments a little bit further up 29?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, you worked there for how many years altogether as an agent out of this area?
6.
Prior to that, where did you work?
I worked in our Region 4 office, which is in Douglas and Coffee County, Georgia.
In
South
South Georgia.
Yes, sir.
How long were you in that office?
Approximately 8.5 years.
And prior to that, what did you do? Was there anything with the GBI or was it with a different department?
No, I worked with the GBI at our headquarters office, at headquarters in the mail and supply room.
Is that where you started?
I worked with the GBI and GCIC prior to that.
Okay. Now, prior to working with the GBI, what did you do, sir?
I was a student.
And where were you a student?
I graduated with my bachelor's degree from Valdosta State University
And when did you graduate?
in 1996.
And what degree did you receive?
Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice.
And where did you grow up, sir?
I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. 29 years ago, we moved to Gwinnett County. So I was 11 when we moved to Georgia, and I grew up in Gwinnett County, Lilburn, Georgia.
And as I understand, you played some baseball in college, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And did you play after that as well?
Yes, I did.
Otherwise? Where else did you play baseball?
I played in college at University of Georgia, at Gordon Junior College, and the last 2 years at Valdosta State University. And then I also played a brief stint in the Independent League in Zanesville, Ohio.
Now, let me direct your attention back to March 22nd, 2011. You recall that particular day, sir?
Yes, I do.
And you were working out of the Region 11 office?
Yes.
And if you can, explain to the jury how it is that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation may become involved in local investigations.
Sure. The GBI is a request agency, so there's one of 6 people that can actually request the GBI get involved in a criminal investigation. That would either be the police chief, superior court judge, sheriff, district attorney, mayor, or the governor.
And as the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, are they able to come in to investigate a matter locally without that kind of request?
Not if it's criminal nature.
Okay. Now, on March 22nd, 2011, were you, as special agents out of the Region 11 office, called to assist in the investigation of the shooting that occurred on Sycamore Drive?
Yes, we were.
And tell us, if you will, where you were physically located at the time you got the call and who you were with.
I was eating lunch at Your Pie over at 5 Points. And I know Agent Trent Hilsman was there. I believe an intern and some other agents were there as well, but I can't remember exactly what other agents were present.
At that time, what was your responsibility at Region 11? What was your, as a special agent?
I was the crime scene specialist.
And as a crime scene specialist, can you tell us basically what it is that your job was and how long had you been doing that?
Sure. As a crime scene specialist, you're tasked anytime crime scene specialist is requested to go and document the scene, process any items of evidentiary value, and then collect the items. And I did that a total, I think, just over 9 years in my career as a crime scene specialist.
Region 11 as well as Region 4 out of Douglas?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, on that particular day, were y'all called in to assist and conduct the investigation there at Sycamore?
Yes, we were.
And after hearing that call, what did you do, sir?
We left the restaurant, went back to the Region 11 office, where I was able to get my equipment together and get the crime scene truck and respond to the scene.
And your crime scene truck, describe that, please.
It's a 450 or 550. It's got a big cab on the back. It's got shelves and different drawers for all different types of crime scene supplies, cameras, measuring equipment, anything we need to collect evidence.
And after going back to Region 11 and retrieving your equipment and that truck there, did you respond over to Sycamore?
Yes, I did.
And was anyone with you in that van or in that vehicle, when you responded over there?
I believe I was driving. I was by myself in my vehicle, in the crime scene truck.
And what time did you actually arrive there at the scene of Sycamore and what turned out to be there at River's Edge and Cascades apartment complex entrance?
I arrived at 2:25 p.m.
And when you arrived at the scene, were there other officers, other agencies, other individuals,
Yes.
law enforcement individuals already there?
Yes, there were.
And in this instance there, was it your understanding that the GBI was basically going to be primarily in charge of processing the vast majority of the scene there at Sycamore?
Yes.
Okay. When you arrived, tell us what you saw. Well, let me back up a second. When you arrive at a particular scene, tell us, if you will, how it is that you normally go about doing your job of processing a particular scene, particularly one that involves a homicide.
Sure. So when you get there, kind of see who is there. Make sure that the scene is already secure. In this case, it was. It was secure with yellow crime scene tape, as well as officers from the Athens Clark County Police Department. The agents from the GBI were already there. And when you get there, in my opinion, try to find the person that's going to be able to give you the most information at that time. You talk to them, kind of get an idea of what you're looking at, and you gather yourself, and I would do a walkthrough of the scene and go through and photograph the scene as it was when I arrived. Then after you photograph the scene, you go through and you start noting different items of evidentiary value, noting things that you're going to have to come back to and process, noting items that you're going to have to collect.
And as far as officers with the Athens Clark County Police Department, did you see officers who were involved in the forensic unit?
Yes.
And over your time with the GBI prior to that date, had you as a crime scene specialist and the GBI become involved in joint investigations with the Athens Police Department and many of the officers, if not all the officers there at the scene?
Yes.
That was not the first time y'all had participated together in different scenes, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, tell us, if you will, when you got to that scene, what did you do according to what you normally do, and what did you do at that time?
Sure. I met with Detective Jeff Harrell and Detective Al Radford, along with SAC Jim Fullington, who was the special agent in charge at the Region 11 office at that time. And they advised me that Officer Howard was shot in his vehicle, and he had been treated there on the scene, and he was transported to the emergency room and was getting care there. I was advised that Officer Buddy Christian had been fatally shot and was still located in his patrol vehicle, and that the suspect was a passenger in a red Suburban vehicle that was located there at the scene, and that was Jamie Hood.
And what did you go about doing at that point as far as your protocol?
Sure. So, one thing I need to mention, Detective Radford was there prior to my arrival. He photographed the scene as well. And I wanted to go ahead and just photograph it as well too, with my camera. And so that's where I started at. I started photographing the scene in its entirety.
Was your understanding he was photographing primarily the perimeters, perimeter to indicate what the perimeter was?
Objection, he leaving. Let's leave.
I'm going to sustain that objection.
What was your understanding that Detective Radford had done?
He advised that he photographed the scene in its entirety.
Thank you. And you proceeded to photograph?
Yes, I did.
And what were you doing at that time when you photographed? Tell us how you went about doing that and what you were
Always start
accomplishing.
in photographing one. Basically, it's to document the scene as it was when you arrived. And so I start from the outside, starting out with overall photographs from every direction, and then kind of working in towards medium-range photographs. And as you're identifying items of evidentiary value, then you'll come back and take close-up photographs of the evidence, as well as mark the evidence.
Let me ask you, when you arrived, did you see the two patrol cars, what was identified as Officer Howard's car as well as Officer Buddy Christian's car?
Yes, I did.
And when you arrived, were those vehicles parked?
They were.
And were the engines running
Yes,
at the time you arrived at 225?
that's correct.
And at that point, you started taking photographs. Did you photograph the area up there, Officer Howard's car, as well as the Suburban, as well as Officer Buddy Christian's car?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you indicated you took further away shots and medium range shots and then closer shots at that time. You describe that and why you would do that.
Just to document the scene as it was for the jury, so you can see exactly what it was that I saw when I got there, starting from a larger viewpoint, a larger vantage point, in all the different directions, and then coming in closer towards the items of evidentiary value.
After you did that, what action did you take, sir?
After the scene was photographed, actually it's prior to me photographing, I contacted Matthew Daniel, who's one of our forensic computer specialists at our headquarters, and the GBI had just gotten a newer piece of equipment called a Leica scanner. And
How did you
essentially,
spell Leica for the court reporter?
I believe it's Leica. I believe that's correct. And this piece of equipment you have it come and it scans and images the scene in its entirety instead of different scans. Then you can actually download the images and to a computer and actually walk through the scene and kind of spin it around 360 degrees. So I contacted Matthew Daniels at that point in time. It was very new, and our computer specialists were the ones actually running the machine and running the scans, conducting the scans, and the images from the scans. So I contacted him, advised of the situation that we had, the crime scene that I was at, and requested that he and another forensic computer specialist come out and perform the scan.
And did they actually come at some point after that?
Yes, they did.
About how long was it before they got there? Do you recall?
They arrived at approximately 4:05 p.m.
And during that time, between the time you called them until they arrived, did you proceed to go ahead and process the scene?
Well, actually, I just photographed the scene, noted items of evidentiary value, and then worked on processing Officer Christian's body and getting his body removed from his vehicle.
And how did you go about doing that, sir?
Well, when I arrived, Detective Schultz advised that he was one of the first officers to arrive. When he got there, he went to check on Officer Christian. He opened the door to check for a pulse, and from what he said, there were two bullet holes in the glass. He opened the door, and the glass on the front driver's side window was shattered. He opened the door, checked for
you completed that, what did you do?
Then we removed Officer Christian from the vehicle.
And how was that accomplished, sir?
With my hands.
I'm sorry?
My hands.
And you assisted that with other officers removing him?
Yes.
And he was placed on some sort of
Into a
stretcher?
body bag.
And following that, what did you do?
We removed the items from his duty belt. Handcuffs, his sidearms, firearm, magazines, his radio, microphone. We took all the items from his duty belt off. And then we turned the body over to coroner Sanders.
And prior to that, do you recall basically collecting any evidence at all on the outside of Officer Christian's car?
Yes, there were we located 4 spent shell casings.
I'm talking about just on Officer Christian's car.
On
Prior
Officer
to that,
Christian's
yeah.
car, yes, so there were 2. There were 2 spent shell casings loading. So his vehicle was on Sycamore Drive facing west, no, east. It was facing east. And so his car was actually parked on the south lane, the south side of Sycamore Drive. Yes, facing east. And so there were 2 spent shell casings on the ground to the north of the driver's side of his vehicle on the ground.
Did you document those and receive those before, in the process of removing, documenting Officer Christian's body and so forth before it was removed?
Yes, I believe I did.
And what else did you do in regard to processing and collecting evidence, sir?
There were also 2 other spent shell casings that I located at Officer Howard's car. One spent casing was located on the street next to his rear driver's side tire, and another spent casing was located on the front driver's side seat. Both of the windows of Officer Howard's car, the front windows, both of those windows were down.
And just for the record also, did you see at some point right there with the casing a telephone, cell phone of some sort that was in the seat there when you first arrived?
Yes, I did. It was actually 3:05 p.m., so about 40 minutes or so after I arrived on the scene. Tommy Crow, one of the EMTs, came to the scene and he got my attention, and he advised that when he was one of the technicians that transported Officer Howard, and when he was treating him there at the scene, he had his personal cell phone in his hand. He actually just placed it inside in the window, in the front seat of the vehicle, because the window was down. He just dropped it in there. When he was there, he advised me that, hey, you're going to see my phone. It's in the front driver's side seat. I left it there when I was caring for Officer Howard. So at that time, I actually went, I photographed it. It was there. I photographed it in place, and I removed it and gave it to Mr. Crow.
And there, in position next to it or underneath it was what?
One of the 40 caliber spent shell casings.
Yes. What else did you do to process the scene at that time and document those 2 cars as well as the Suburban?
There were also items from Officer Howard's person. It was his duty belt was laying on the ground next to his car. There were some belt keepers. It's kind of like little pieces of material that snap together that actually go around the officer's duty belt and keeps the belt almost like affixed to a regular belt that you would wear, just for added support. Those were laying on the ground. Both panels of his ballistic vest were laid out on the ground as well as a portion of t-shirt that was cut off from him. Then there was there was a sheet and maybe some gloves and medical wrappings
And you retrieved those different items of evidentiary value, you believe?
The evidentiary value, yes, I did.
And what else did you do?
I also photographed the red Chevrolet Suburban, 2000. It was actually parked on the east side facing south, entered into Cascades on the river, the Cascades apartment complex. It was in park, the engine was off, the keys were still in the ignition, and what I noticed was all the doors were closed except for the front passenger door was still open a little bit, was not shut completely. Both of the front windows of that vehicle were completely down. The rear passenger window was unrolled about 2 inches. The rear driver's side window was completely rolled up.
And did you recover any items at that point from the Suburban?
Yes, there was a Verizon cell phone that was actually plugged into the cigarette lighter in the front center console of the vehicle.
And were any of the vehicles processed for fingerprints there at the scene, sir?
At some point during the processing while I was there, Detective Schultz, Detective Radford, and Detective Harrell processed the exterior of Officer Howard's vehicle while I was still there at the scene.
Now, what else did you do there at the scene, sir?
After we collected the evidence and documented exactly what we took, we photographed it, documented it, and then we collected it.
Okay. And at some point, did Matt Daniel and perhaps the other individual computer specialists arrive with the Leica scan you indicated?
That's correct. They arrived approximately 4:05 p.m.
Okay. And did they proceed to conduct that Leica scan?
They did.
When they did that, did they do that from just one position or from several positions, if you recall?
3 different positions, as I recall.
Now, at the time you arrived, it was daylight?
It was.
At the time you left the scene, was it still daylight?
No, it was approximately 11 o'clock p.m. when I left that location.
And when you did all you could on that particular day into the night there, what happened with the vehicles and what did you plan to do?
Sure. Once the night came, obviously it becomes more difficult to see. And so we had the vehicles towed to a secure location so I can come back on the following day and further process the vehicles under better lighting for any items of evidentiary value.
And the 2 police cars were transported to what location and off what street, sir?
Sure. The police cars were towed to 1005 College Avenue in Athens, Clark County, Georgia.
Was that in an old warehouse type building?
I was told it was the old sanitation department.
And how about the Suburban? Where was it towed?
The Suburban was towed to 2825 County Farm Road in Athens.
Okay. Now, the next day, did you actually process those particular vehicles?
Yes, I did.
And as far as Tony's car, should have asked you this as far as the day before, but as far as that car, what kind of car was Officer Howard's car?
It was a Ford Crown Victoria.
And Officer Buddy Christian's car, what kind of car was that?
It was a Chevrolet Impala.
And as far as those cars, when you went back the next day to process them, did you actually carry out that task?
Yes, I did.
And did anybody assist you in that?
Special Agent Steve Foster. He's one of the crime scene specialists out of our office in Thompson.
And tell us the next day what you did in regard to those vehicles.
Sure. So when we got to the location, I started with Officer Christian's car. I photographed it in its entirety. One of the things that was noted were the front driver's side window where Officer still see, Agent Foster and myself could still see some radial fractures. So if you picture a window, a bullet hole that goes through it, it's going to shatter. And so we call those radial fractures that are made. And what we're able to learn from that is if the window is still in place, you can see possibly which shot was fired first because of the length of the radial fractures. Because obviously the first ones will go, they'll fracture out as long as they possibly can. And then any subsequent rounds to the window will cause fractures to come off, and those fractures will actually stop at the longer ones. So you're able to see the longer ones would have been graded first. We could still see some of the radial fractures, so what we did was we taped some string in the same direction as the fractures as they were located. And from that, we're able to determine an approximate area of convergence. What that means is we were able to put out 4 different strings, and so where all of the strings would cross each other, on the left, the right, up, on the bottom part of it, where they would all cross would give you an approximate area of where the shots probably were. And it's approximate because obviously the majority of the glass was broken out.
Okay. And that's what I was going to ask. Since the majority of the glass was missing at that time, with what you did, was that just doing the best you could to try to accomplish that task?
Absolutely.
And what else did you do in regard to that car? Did you photograph it as well on that day?
Yes, we photographed it. After we photographed it, we did the radial fractures. Then we processed the exterior with black fingerprint powder for latent prints. We were able to locate 7 latent prints from the vehicle. We lifted those with clear fingerprint tape, transferred them to white latent lift cards. Then we photographed the interior as well. And in examining the interior, a systematic search of the interior, we noted a little defect in the front passenger seat. And so if you're looking at the front of the vehicle, you have the front passenger seat, you have the actual seat back that your backrest against. Well, there's a little side of it that faces the driver's side, and there's a little defect in that area there. We used a sterile scalpel and cut out a piece, and we're able to locate a bullet that actually went through Officer Christian and entered into the seat back of the vehicle.
That'd be a bullet projectile?
That's correct.
And did you recover that item and preserve it forever?
Yes, I did.
What else did you notice and document there in regard to that vehicle, sir?
There were no other items of evidentiary value inside the vehicle.
And following that, did you look at Officer Howard's vehicle?
Yes, we did.
And what did you do with that? Did you photograph that as well as conduct an examination and process it?
That's correct. It was photographed. We re-photographed it as well. It was already processed. The exterior was already processed the night before by the Clark County detectives. So then we began our systematic search of the interior, and upon doing so, the front passenger seat of the vehicle had called a seat organizer. And in that seat organizer, it had a metal ticket book. The metal ticket book had a defect. It looked like it was created by a fire projectile or bullet. It would have ricocheted off. Went through an actual black cloth type strap holding a bag there in the front passenger seat of Officer Howard's vehicle. And then it ricocheted off and actually entered into what I call it the B pillar of the vehicle. And that's kind of the plastic piece where your seatbelt is housed, and entered into there.
On which side of the vehicle, the driver's side or the passenger side?
The passenger side. So it came from the driver's side off the metal ticket book, which was located on the passenger side seat, ricocheted off of that through the strap into the B pillar of the vehicle on the passenger side.
And what did you do after noticing that?
After we noticed that, we used trajectory rods and cones to place the trajectory rods back into the hole, into the B pillar, and it lined up with the defect in the metal ticket book. So we're able to show an approximate angle. It was approximately, anytime we're able to do that, we give plus or minus 5 degrees, to account for any type of error, as well as the pitch of the street, because the vehicle was not in its current location when the shooting was 12 degrees downward coming from the driver's side to the passenger side. 12 degrees downward would be that, you know, 5 degrees plus or minus either way.
And what else did you do after you used the trajectory rods?
After we photographed them with the rods in place, then we removed a section of the plastic molding on the B pillar and located the spent, the bullet, the projectile, and I collected that as evidence.
So from Officer Buddy Christian's car, you collected one bullet projectile,
That's correct.
and from Officer Howard, you collected one bullet projectile as well.
That's correct.
And what else did you do with Officer Howard's car? Anything else?
Looked for any other items of evidentiary value and did not locate any.
And did you also process the Suburban at some point?
Later that afternoon, yes.
And when you did that, what did you do?
I photographed the vehicle, interior and exterior. It's again documented that both the front windows were down, the rear passenger side window was down about 2 inches, the rear driver's side window was completely rolled up. Photographed it as it was when I got there. It was kind of cluttered, had a lot of trash and a lot of clothing in it. At that point, Agent Foster was still with me. He used black fingerprint powder to process the vehicle for latent prints, and I removed the clothing items from the back and from the vehicle, laid those out, photographed, and looking for any items of evidentiary value.
And you did you collect those items, or you just photographed those?
Photographed them. I did not see any items of evidentiary value. I did locate a black, I call it a stocking cap. It was located between the front passenger seat and the center console. I did not know if it was related or pertinent or not, but I collected it.
Okay.
Everything else was just photographed.
Was there anything else that you did in regard to processing the scene or those vehicles?
That was it.
And the items that you collected there at the scene and from the vehicles that you described here, what did you do with them, sir?
After I collected them, I sealed them up, documented the bags, documented the evidence receipts, and secured them as evidence.
At some point, were you shown and were asked to photograph items of clothing from Officer Tony Howard?
Yes, I was.
And do you know about when that was?
I don't know the specific day. It was, I don't know. I don't know what particular day it was that I photographed his rest of his uniform.
And as far as there at and what you recovered, you talked about Officer Christian's equipment, his duty belt and so forth. Did you basically see his weapon, his handgun, sir?
Officer Christians?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
And did you actually retrieve that and recover that and photograph that item?
Yes, I did.
Now, if I can, let me show you what has been marked. For these purposes, I'm going to leave it in this expandable folder. Photographs that have been labeled as case number 184 through 667, please, sir. Show you those. Prior to coming in here, did you look at the photographs that have been labeled as those exist, sir?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And are those the photographs that you took basically at the scene as well as the cars when you processed them indoors the next day, as well as the uniform and the gun
Yes,
of Officer Christian?
Yes, they are.
And particularly starting at the beginning, is that pretty much the items, or the photographs that you took in the order that you took them, sir?
Yes,
It
sir.
appears to be?
Yes, sir.
Are those fair and accurate photographs of the different areas of the scene and those vehicles and the other items that you photographed on that day and the next day or so when you photographed them
Yes, they are.
back in March of 2011?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would tender 184 through 667 at this time.
Any objection?